You're tuned in to IntellectualRadio.com.
And welcome to a Greater You show here on IntellectualRadio.com. We are an iHeart station. I'm your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gant, here for another show. And we are the station that feeds your brain. And again, we are an iHeart station. So anywhere you get your podcast, you can find us, Spreaker, anywhere that you get your podcast, you can find us. We have shows here Sunday through Saturday, mornings, afternoons, evenings. So a lot of great hosts, a lot of great shows, diversity in regards to titles and hosts. We have religious shows, we have spiritual shows, we have financial shows, health shows, relationship shows, comedy shows. What's that other show we have? We have a lot of shows, right? A whole lot of them. Right. So we have a lot of shows that you all can be a part of, and you can follow the hosts and everything. And about 5 or 10 good hosts here. I know it's more than that, but I know you'll find at least 5 or 10 that you may want to follow and keep up with here on the show and keep up with what their shows are all about. So again, we are the station again that feeds your brain. And before I get started, I'm going to promote someone. And if you'd like to get promoted on one of my shows, you can get in contact with me at fullofpurposemedia@gmail.com. It's fullofpurposemedia@gmail.com. And tonight I'm going to promote Mr. Emmett Farmer. And are you 65 and older or know someone who is in need of Medicare assistance? Mr. Emmett Farmer is a licensed life and health insurance producer and an independent insurance broker. He can be reached at 773-908-9425 or efarmer2, the number 2, efarmer2 at ameritech.net. Mr. Emmett Farmer specializes in Medicare plans for seniors 65 and older. Also, if you are disabled and have Medicare, he can help you as well. He is licensed in Illinois, Texas, and in the process of being licensed in other states also. If you are 65 and older, or if you will become 65 within the next 6 to 12 months, contact Mr. Emmett Farmer to learn more about your available options. Again, for more information, contact Mr. Emmett Farmer at 773-908-9425, 773-908-9425, or efarmer2, that's EFARMER, the number 2, efarmer2 at ameritech.net. You will also get a free consultation by mentioning that you have heard about Mr. Emmett Farmer and his business here on a Greater You show with the host, Dr. Anthony L. Gant, here on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeart Station. So get in contact with him to help you get some of those things sorted out. Or if you know someone, your grandma or something like that, may have some information about that, contact him. He can help you. And he's ready to help you and willing to. So, again, this is the Greater You show. And this is a self-help show, a self-help class, a self-help coaching session, a self-help book club, all that wrapped into one. So if you're new to IntellectualRadio.com and new to me, obviously every session we have a series, so to speak, on a certain topic. And today's topic that we're on is called Overcoming Failure, Part 3. So what we do, we always have it based on a book that I have written on that particular topic. So we come from the book, and at each series, session, we do part of the series, which is part of the book. So again, if you're new to me, I always do a recap. You might have missed them, the last show. And keep in mind too, just to reiterate, all of our shows on IntellectualRadio.com are recorded. So you can go back and look at them anytime you like. You can look at them at 3 o'clock in the morning if you like. You can look at them at 6 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So any show you like, you can put, for instance, for my show, it's my show's a Greater You show. You can just type that in when you go to IntellectualRadio.com, and all the shows I have come up. We have playlists of some of the shows I've done as well. So you can look at any of the shows again. So, but do a recap since you are here. The first session we talked about in this series, how to overcome failure. We came from lesson 1 in the book, and we talked about what is success and pretty much what is failure, and knowing that failure and success go hand in hand. You need them both to work together in order to actually achieve success. You can't have success without failure. And I do know that failure is not a popular topic. I know it's not the most positive topic to talk about, but you have to overcome failure. And it's imperative that you do understand that failure and success go together. Failure is success. Failure makes success. So if you want to be successful in something, failure will make sure you do that. And we're going to talk about some more things a little bit later about learning from failure. However, we talked about success. The word success comes from the word succeed. And succeed in the Latin, SUC means after, and seed, CEED, means to go. So really, the word succeed or success is to go after something. So it's not success is not the thing; it's the pursuit of something. So if you're pursuing something, you are succeeding at that moment. And the more often you pursue things, the more often you are succeeding. So it's not if you have a certain car, house, boat, plane, who you know, and all those things, how much money you have. If you're pursuing that, that's one thing, but that doesn't validate that you are successful if you have this much money or don't have that much money, or you've done this by the time you were 30, or you've done this by the time you were 60. Really, what have you pursued? And if anything you pursued, you're succeeding at that time. So we came from lesson one in that. Session two, we came from lesson three in the book, and we came from lesson three in the book, and we talked some other things about how success is more of a foundation and how you need to learn how to make adjustments in order to succeed. If you don't make adjustments, we talked about failure is not a dead end. Failure is a detour. A detour never says something is wrong with you. It never says something's wrong with your car. It never says something's wrong on the road that you were on. It just says something is wrong. The road that ahead of you is not something that's functional or drivable at this point. But there's a detour to get you to where you want to go. So sometimes we're pretty stubborn about what we want to do. We're going to do it this way only. And the reality is we only know one or two ways to succeed, and failure come into our life to help us get more ways to succeed. So those are some of the things we talked about as a recap. Now we are today we're going to come from lesson 6 from the book, and we're going to talk about, and I kind of said some things last week to kind of lead into this, but how we have to get smart. And failure is one of the best things that you can have to help you get success smart. So I call it having a success IQ. A lot of us don't have a success IQ, and one reason why we don't have a success IQ is because we don't ever want to meet with failure. And as I explained in an earlier session, that the word failure is the same word in the Latin that we get in the form of the word is a word that we get called deceive. So most people don't lose success; they just get fooled out of success because of failure. See, failure would deceive you if you're afraid of it. It'll deceive you thinking that you can't succeed. But the truth of the matter is, failure is what you need to succeed. Now, I know that sounds a little bit odd to people because, we try to do all we can to avoid failure at any cost. But the truth of the matter is, you need it to actually do some things. So we have to go to what I call success school, or what maybe I should say failure university. And the name of your professor there is Professor Failure, and the name of the class you're going to is Failure 101, because failure has everything in it to teach you how to be a success. See, so what you're doing when you actually meet with failure, see, one thing we all need to learn how to do, as early as we can learn it, the better off we'll be. But first of all, we need to know, and Failure University will teach you this, right? See, matter of fact, if you really want to know how to succeed as often as you want in any area as you want, you need to go to this fine university. You don't need any grant money. You don't even need any certain SAT scores. You don't need any of that. All you need to do is try to succeed at something, and you are admitted into this university called Failure University. Now, that's a pretty good commercial for Failure University. Now, for those of you all, there is no such thing, like a real place called Failure University. However, you need to know how to get into failure, how to get through failure, how to get from failure, so you can get out of failure. So what happens is a lot of times we can't get out of failure because we never got through failure. And the reason why we can't get through failure because we never get anything from failure. And the reason why we don't get from failure because we don't know that we got to get into failure to get to the success we want. So you have to realize that those things are just part of the scenario. Now, some people say, well, if you don't try, then you fail if you don't try. And that's a way you can look at it, right? But the truth of the matter is, like I gave the example in an earlier session, when a baby is learning how to walk and the baby falls down, it never said that the baby wasn't walking, even if the baby walked 2 steps. And it never said that the baby would never walk again. What it did say is that while the baby was walking, the baby fell down. Well, see, if the baby never got up, then the baby can never fall down, right? Well, see, failure only happens when you're trying or pursuing something. See, people are so afraid of failure, they don't try to do anything. So the fact is, it's not so much are they failed already. It's kind of hard to get to failure because you never try. So you got to try some things. And a lot of times since we hit failure, because it can be disappointing. I'm not here to tell you that when failure happens, you start smiling. But because failure can taste bad. I mean, kind of look bad, look ugly, you smell bad, all that stuff goes along with it, right? But you have to realize that it's part of the scenario. It's part of the fertilizer that you need to actually have success grow in your life. People that fail the most and learn from the failure that they have to get out the failure that they have succeed the most. When you get out of failure, you are into success. But you can't get into success if you don't get out of failure. And you can't get out of failure if you don't get through failure. You can't get through failure if you don't learn anything from failure. And you can't learn anything from failure if you don't realize that you are in failure, right? Because you're trying to pursue something. Now, if you don't understand those things, you don't grasp that concept, then you'll get to the point where I'm not going to try anything. So let's look at this reality. Sometimes we have failed at many different things in life, right? You know, you might have got married and got divorced. You said, man, I failed at marriage because, I got divorced. You might have went for a job and, and got fired. I don't know, right? You said, man, I went for that job and I failed, right? You might have went through school and didn't finish, right? Oh, I failed. You might have said, hey, I opened up a business and the business only lasted 2 years, right? I failed. But see, it sounds bad because, yeah, you went through a divorce, right? Yeah, you went through, you lost a job. Yeah, you maybe failed as a boyfriend, girlfriend, failed as a parent, failed as a child. You may have had all those things in there in the process of you doing things. But the bottom line is you are actually still on the track if you learn something from it. The problem that happens to a lot of us, we don't learn anything from the failure that has happened to us. So see, if you want to become more intelligent, then you're going to have to learn from the failures that you've been through. Some of the wisest people you ever meet have failed more than you realize. They sound wise because they are wise, but they're wise because of the failure experiences that they have. See, because failure is an event that happens that'll bring an enormous amount of experience and education right along with it, if you choose to learn from it. Now, if you don't want to learn from it, then what ends up happening is that you'll refuse to go try to succeed at anything because you know that you're going to meet with failure. I stated to you in one other session that the F in failure means first. See, this is how I had to look at it for myself. The F in failure means first, and the S in success means second. So that means that I can't get to second, I get the first. And first, the first thing that had to meet me is failure. And once failure meet me and I meet failure, I learn from failure. And then, I can get to the second part, which is success. This is a something, if you want to pursue things, right? If you want to try the things, you want to accomplish things, you want to achieve some things, here's just the reality. You're going to have to reframe, or I should say, put failure in a different frame. You're going to have to look at it different and associate it something different because it's part of the scenario. See, the reality is you have to be in this situation where you can birth success. It doesn't really look good to be on the planet 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And then your story is, what have you succeeded in? And the answer is nothing. Now, that's too long to be on the planet and not succeed at anything. You have to succeed at something. But the reason why people have that resume of not succeeding at things because they failed at something once. They failed at a business once. They failed at a marriage once. They failed at a relationship once. And maybe they said, no, you don't understand. I failed at 3 relationships. I failed at 4 businesses. Yeah, you probably did. And that's okay if you learn something from it. But see, it turns into a stigma if you don't learn from it, because now you think that you are the failure and not realizing that failure has a root word called fail. Fail is a verb meaning actions. Your actions fail, you not the actions. You can always correct actions. That's why you need to understand that failure is there to teach you something. Ignore on purpose. I can't tell you what happened at the bottom of the sea with the whales. I don't know anything about it. I know they say they down there, but I don't know anything else about them. I ignore that information. So if you ask me anything about it, I'm ignorant about whales in the ocean. It's a whole lot of things that we all ignorant about. Some people may be ignorant about why you're trying to pursue the success that you're trying to get, right? See, if you're trying to open up a business, you say, I failed at it. Usually it would show you what you had ignored. You might ignore bookkeeping practices. You might have ignored how to promote the business. You might have ignored how to do a whole lot of things with the business, how to market, how to sell, all these different things. You ignored that because you're the best cupcake maker in the world. So you figure I'm opening up my business because I know how to cook cupcakes, but then you fail at the business. And then what happens is everything you ignored that's related to that business will show up when failure shows up. And this is what drives us away from it, because we're like, man, I must be pretty bad. Look at all those 5 things that happened. Instead of us addressing that issue and learning from it, now we're going to blame it on the fact that the building was too tall or whatever, right? We're going to blame it on something else. But you have to say that, listen, I'm going to pursue things in my life. I'm going to pursue a degree. I'm going to pursue a relationship. I'm going to pursue whatever it is I'm going to pursue. And I may fail at it. You may date someone and they say they just not the one. You might get married to somebody and stay married for 5-10 years. And guess what? You end up in divorce court. Now, you can say, well, I didn't plan on being in divorce court 10 years ago. Well, very few people plan on being there, but they end up there. However, that doesn't mean that you or the other person are failures. Actions may have failed, because once you go through a relationship and it fails, you know what you can learn. You learn some of the stuff you need to know that would have prevented you from being in that messed up situation or that so-called failure experience. So now the next time you get into a relationship with someone else, hopefully you have learned something so you can do it better or do it differently the next time. And you say, well, that's been 10 times, maybe been 10 times the last 10 years. Well, you just learning a lot, right? That's how you look at it. And the next person that gets you, hopefully you learn so much off the last 10 that this person gets a better person than the first person got, right? So you have to look at it as, you can't say, well, forget it. I'm not going to get any more relationships. Forget it. I'm 35 years old and that's it. That's all. I'm not going to try. Okay, that's fine. But you live another 35 years, you just by yourself. You say, I'm fine with that. Okay, if you're fine with it. But are you fine with it because you messed up for 10 years in a row and you're just afraid of failure and didn't want to learn from it to become a success? Because one thing about failure is always setting you up to give you another chance to try it again. You may not, now I'm using relationships for this example. You may not have the chance to try it again with that person, but that does not mean you won't have a chance to try it again with another person if you learn from it. But if you don't learn from it, then you won't try again with the last person, nor would you try it again with another person, because you're afraid to fail. But that's part of the scenario if you want to succeed. And if you want to get wiser, failure will teach you how to get wise, right? I failed at a lot of things. I tell people all the time, I fail more than you do. Now someone may say, well, you succeeded in these things. That's true. But I failed more times in that than I succeeded in it, if you knew the whole story. And most people that you see that had succeeded in something, I don't care if it's something in sports and all this, man, they scored all these points, but they missed a bunch of shots too. They missed more shots than the other guy, right? Even though they may have made more baskets than the other guy. They hit more home runs than the other guy, but they might have struck out more times than the other guy, right? So you have to realize that that's part of the scenario. You can't hit something unless you swing at it, right? You got to try. You can stand up there all day and all night. If you never swing at the ball to hit it, you won't hit it. You can say, well, I don't know why I won't go past this, because you won't swing. And sometime when you swing, you miss. Sometime when you swing, you don't hit it where you want to. That's just the way it goes sometimes. But don't stop swinging. Don't stop trying to succeed. Don't stop pursuing, because your success is in your pursuit. And if you stop pursuing things, now you got to live this life of having no resume of succeeding at anything. See, now you can't talk to anyone about success in any capacity because you haven't succeeded at anything, because you haven't failed at anything. So here's something for you. When you're going through failure, right? Like, we'll just say when you're trying to be a success. And a lot of people want to be a success, right? And the thing is, because we're so caught up in so many different things when it comes to success, we think that all the outside stuff is where the success is. So when we say, okay, I want to look like a success, we go get all the outside stuff, the ornaments, right, that we think success is, so that we can look like a success to other people. But the truth of the matter is, unless you go through failure, then you're not really a legitimate success. See, failure is what legitimizes you. It's the stamp of approval for success. A lot of times people don't have a stamp of approval for success because they live by this mantra: fake it till you make it. I just don't like that mantra, but that's what people live by, right? And see, and if you live by faking it until you make it, what ends up happening, you never really make it, but you will become a successful fake, right? And then you're successful at faking it and just faking it. The older you get, the more you fake it. Then you're faking it this here and faking it over there. And see, fake is not real. Anything you call fake is not real. So if you getting around trying to fake it till you make it and all these different things, trying to make sure you get the certain car or live in a certain neighborhood or all these different things, wear the certain clothing brands to fake it till you make it, what happens is you're just going to live your life being a successful fake. Who in the world want to live 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years being only successful at being a fake? Hopefully I know it's not you because you're looking at me right now, right? So I know it's not you. So you want to kind of get rid of that mantra, I would suggest, and then realize that failure is the stamp of approval for success. See, if you got any type of stamp of approval, like, from a government official or something like that, the stamp of approval says it's authentic, right? This is an authentic piece of paperwork, authentic, whatever it may be. So since it's authentic, it's official. See, some of us are not officially a success because we didn't get stamped by the failures to get to that success. So since we haven't been stamped by failure, we're not really official in the success realm. So that makes us, we're going to go out and try to be a successful fake and then want to tell all our friends to be a successful fake. And then we get home and knowing that we're not a real success, that we just been good at being a successful fake. Now, the reality is, I don't know how long you can keep that up. There's a lot of extra work just being a successful fake. But you know what? It's easier or simpler to learn from failure to be a successful success, right? You know what I'm saying? To be successful at doing that. But you need a stamp of approval. You need to be authenticated by a failure that you went through. So now here's something for you now. Because sometimes now people may hear me say something like that, and then they have these stories, man, these horrific stories. They didn't went through this and swam under here, and and that might be true. But so you don't need that either. You don't need no horrific story to actually validate that you are a success neither. This is when people start elaborating and exaggerating and everything with story. But the truth of the matter, are you pursuing anything? Did you trip and fall, hit your head on something? Yeah. Did you run into a brick wall? Yeah. Did you kind of you started school? Yeah, I started school. Yeah, at 18. Yeah. And then, I had to get out of school at 19, right? Because I got a job, whatever, right? And then I had to go back to school at 29. Yeah. But then I got pregnant. Okay. Well, then I had to get out of school again. And then, I went back to school at 33. Right. Then I got married. Oh, okay. Then I stopped again. And I went back to school at 38. Yeah, but I got pregnant again. Right. So this might have been your life. It doesn't mean you're a failure. But then at 45 years old, man, you finally got your associate's degree. Okay. You finally got your bachelor's degree, right? Or whatever it is, right? But you kept going at it, even though things in your life had happened and they weren't horrific things. It was just life. And guess what? Life happens. It doesn't mean that you're bad. Yeah, sometimes life happens and causes you to fail, but that's causing you to learn. See, when you got the degree at 45 years old, you learn how to study better. You learn how to manage your time, so to speak, better. You learn how to do more than one thing and not party as much. Maybe at 19, all you were doing was partying. And maybe that's why you had to kind of get out of school. But at 45, party was out of you already. Maybe you became more responsible. You learn how to manage so many different things so that you can get your degree, right? So those are things, that's just an example. Same thing with money. You might have started off messing up money and you lost a house, lost a car. You might have had $1 million worth of properties and lost them all, right? But now you go back and revisit that. Now you know how to buy properties that's close together, right? Don't buy a property way over there and way over there or in 5 different states when you don't go to the state. Maybe you're going to buy them all in a certain neighborhood. So you make adjustments. That's one of the things I shared with you before. Failure will help you make so many different adjustments that will be so advantageous to you if you learn from them. Let's look at the word adjustment for a moment. The word adjustment has 2 words, the root word is adjust, right? It has 2 type of words. AD mean add, right? And just means. So here's the reality. When you put that together, when you go through failure, it's making you make adjustments. That means that success is closer to you. It's near class. They can only take one. You had to make an adjustment, right? Success is closer to you than you think it is because you had to make it adjustment. It's still near. It's still within reach. But just because you had to make an adjustment does not mean that it's bad. But the adjustment is going to add more information. It's going to add more education. It's going to add more intelligence. meaning that the more intelligent you get about succeeding, the the less ignorant you are about it. See, the more people are ignorant about succeeding, they're not that intelligent about succeeding because they never met through failure, and failure gonna teach you something, right? It's like this, right? Here's another example. I'm a man that like to give examples and tell stories. I guess I need to find something to do in my life. But anywho, so check this out. So you have, let's say, for instance, you've seen this lady walking with this baby, right, from a distance, and she tells you that the baby that she has in her arms is not real. It's never been born before, right? This baby has never been born before. So you're looking, what? Never been born. No, this baby has never been born before. Now, we can say she didn't birth the baby, but she didn't say that. It's never been born. Now, if she's walking around with something in her arms and a baby saying it's never been born, that means it can't be a real person because all people are born, right? And the only thing that look real, like a person in a woman's arm that haven't been born, is called a baby doll. And baby dolls aren't real. They're fake. They look real. They got little hands and fingers, right? All that. They got little eyes and ears and nose, right? They look real, but they're not real. See, this is the thing. You have to birth success, and your birthing process is going through failure. You have to birth that success out of you, and failure is the only way you can do it legitimately. And if you do it any other way, trying to go around here, under there, over there, trying to do all that, you're going to walk around with the stuff that look like your success, but it's not real. It's just going to be a baby doll, right? It won't be a real person. Because see, one thing about people, they can keep growing. So that means your success can become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and larger and larger, right? That's what your success can do if it's a real baby that turned into a bigger person, and that bigger person is not in your arms anymore. It can walk by itself. That's what happened when you have success. It can get bigger and bigger and bigger. Now you can have success in more than one area. You can have success in your occupation, but then you can also have success in your health. You can also have success in your spiritual life. You can also have success in your relationships. But you have to realize before you actually get all this success, you're going to have to go through some failure in your spiritual life. You're going to have to go through some failure in your relationships. You're going to have to go through some failure with your finances. You're going to have to go through some failure with your education, your health. All these things happen so that you can become more successful. If you ever seen someone or know someone personally, and supposedly they were probably pretty weighed a lot of, they weighed a lot, right? Say they weigh 300, 400 pounds. And then you see them later and they're very fit, right? They're in pretty good shape. And if you listen to their story, they'll tell you their story. They'll say, hey, the doctor told me I had diabetes, high cholesterol, my blood pressure was all this, right? They had all these different issues. And then they changed that because they were failing in their health. And then they changed it and learned some stuff. So I can't be eating, 5 burgers at midnight, right? They start changing some things about the way they eat because that way of eating was failing them, right? They had them sick or whatever it is, had them too overweight. But now you look at them now and you say, ooh, look how nice they look. Look at their figure. Look at their shape. Ooh, look at that. Look how healthy they look. Yeah, but that didn't happen. That happened because some failure happened first. They may have started trying to do some working out with the weights and messed up their arm or messed up their leg and they say, hey, I can't do it. And that's why they succeeded at it second. But they didn't succeed at it second until they learned from the failure that they went through first. Same thing that has to go along with you and I. You're going to have to fail at some stuff first. In order for you to succeed. You just have to get to the point in your life because you only on this planet one go round. Now, some people say you on here more than once. I don't know about all that. However, I know for a fact that you on here at least once, right? So if that's the case, you need to make things count while you're here. And the way you make things count, you have to pursue some things that you want to actually get. Now, you don't have to pursue what I pursue, right? You just have to pursue what you pursue. Now, here's the problem. And I stated this in an earlier session. When I talked about the baby walking, right? And the reason why the baby feel they can walk is everybody around them walking. Mama walking, daddy walking, brother walking, sister walking, auntie walking, uncle walking, everybody walking, right? So they see all these people walking around, using their legs, walking around. So the baby subconsciously see people, meaning that anybody that actually know how to succeed, they would tell you how to get through failure. They're not going to try to sugarcoat it and everything because failure is just part of it's a real experience. They're going to show you how to learn. Now, you can learn from their failures, right? You can learn from some of the failures they had, and help you kind of alleviate some of those things. However, you're going to make some mistakes, because that's all failures is. There's a few mistakes. We all make them. But learning from failures, how you turn the mistakes that you made into the miracles that you want. You can't wrought a miracle, so to speak, if you don't learn from a mistake that you made. And the more mistakes you're willing to learn of that information, that can be education, right? So now you have to ask yourself, how successful do you want to become? How successful do you want to be in this thing called life? Where do you want to have your success in this thing called life? Once you see that, don't be afraid. Now, again, people that don't succeed a lot, they're going to talk about you. Oh, man, you thought you had a business. See, you thought you were smart. Oh, man, you still trying to get a degree? Man, you trying to go on another date, right? People going to talk about you. And usually the people that talk about you negatively and try to, make fun of, don't get married, right? Those are the same people, right? Now, they may be fortunate. They may have gotten married one time and they've been married for 30 years. And I'm happy for them, right? Some people need 3, 4, 5, 6 times before they can get 30 years, right? And that's okay. Just keep trying and don't stop trying because of failure. Don't let failure make a fool out of you, right? See, they go failure. I may fail again. You may want to date somebody or date people, but you afraid to date people because how about if it don't work out? Well, you're right. It might not work out. But one thing, how about if it does work out? It might work. You're 55 years old. You've been doing something else for a long time. Now you're going to do something different. And guess what? You're going to fail at it first. But don't be afraid of failure. It's where your education is. Everything you need to succeed is in failure. You don't have to go far, but you need to fail first so you can get all your stuff. That's all your success stuff, because it's in the failure that you experience. When you understand something like that, again, you become a legitimate success. And then you realize that you won't be a successful fake failure. The people that are afraid of failure the most, you become a fake wife, you become a fake significant other, you become a fake parent, a fake child, a fake friend, a fake employee, a fake church member, a fake pastor, a fake employer. Because see, all you doing is running from failure. You ain't real nowhere. Because this stuff start moving in other areas of your life, and then now you become riddled, or your life become riddled with all this faking it till you making it. So now you got to put on all these airs all over the place, right? You got to act like you are a success at your church and you're a pastor, but you're a failure. But you can't say that because you're scared, right? Then you try to act like y'all got a successful relationship, y'all the successful husband and wife, but y'all ain't speak to each other at home. Okay, but you look good when you walk out, though. You look good when you walk out of that. Woo, y'all look good, right? But y'all don't even talk at home, right? Because you all afraid to be truthful with yourself, and that's one thing failure would do. It would show something for you. When you spell the word truth, TRUTH, and the letter that's in the center of truth is you. And you must realize you got to always tell yourself the truth. And since we don't want to tell ourselves the truth a lot, don't worry about it. Failure let you see the truth. Failure say, you know what, you mean. That's why nobody want to be with you, right? You mean, and nobody want to be around your mean self. But no, I'm not mean. I'm not just telling like it is. I'm just 100. No, you're mean. And see, failure in those failure relationships will show you mean, right? You might be fickle. You on the day, off the day, right? They don't know what they're going to get out of you. No, they just don't know the real deal. No. You're fickle, right? That's what you are. But see, I don't want to deal with that because I don't want to admit to the truth. But failure, those failed relationships are there to tell me the truth about me and tell me the truth about the situation that I'm in. Yeah, you might have had a good idea for cupcakes or whatever your business may happen to be. But because you don't like to count your money, right? You like to spend your money right when you get it. Now you out of business, and failure say, look, you out of business. I don't know what it is. It must be the economy. No, did you not get money and you didn't put it back in the business? Yeah, but you don't understand. I want months, 2 years. Now you got a failed business, right? So you have to look at it honestly. And again, I know that doesn't sound good. I know that doesn't seem good. I know when it happens, it doesn't taste good, but that's the things that happen. Anytime you pursue something, again, I don't like tasting failure just like anybody else. I like to just do something, think of it, and succeed just like everybody else. But I know in order to succeed at something, I'm going to make a mistake. I know when I succeed at something, I'm going to do something that's going to disappoint me because I didn't do it by Friday. I know those things happen in the process of pursuing something. I remember when I first started writing it now, but I wasn't that good at it back in the day. Same thing when I went into, when I started being a parent. I've never been a parent before. This is my first experience at being this parent stuff. I don't know how to do that. How do you do this? What are you supposed to do? I don't know. How do you teach them how to count? I don't know. Right. So I made some mistakes in my parenting. Right. Because of the fact that I don't know what to do, but I learned from the mistakes. Hey, and then again, I told you, failure sets you up to give you another chance to succeed. Gave you another chance to do it right. Gave you another chance to get it together again. That's what failure will help you do. But if you're good at running from failure, that means you're even better at running from success. Because your success and your failure just go together. You must realize, okay, I got to go through all this right now, learn from it as much as I can, because everything I need to succeed is in the failure that I have. And once I understand that and keep that in the forefront of my mind, I can do better in my life. So here's something for you, right? Because it's going to legitimize you, like I stated before. And since it legitimizes you, it authorizes you. It's like driving a car, right? You don't need a license. It does give you permission to drive the car on the street. That's what it does. You don't need a license to drive. You need a license to give you permission to drive. See, you need failure to give you permission to get the success that you want. That success is waiting on you. It has your name on it, but you can't get it running from failure. See, because success does not chase anybody. So for all you all to think that, hey, success is going to chase me around. No, it doesn't. What it does is follow failure. It doesn't follow you. But see, if you meet with failure, then you're going to meet with success, because failure will introduce success to successful people. I just told you, just because you never walk, just because you fell down while you was walking, does not mean that you never walked before. It does not mean that you will never walk again. It just means that you fell down while you were walking. You have to understand that because success is in the pursuing, but you need to know what you're trying to pursue and need to know why you're trying to pursue. Are you trying to pursue something to impress other people? Or are you trying to pursue something because you're trying to succeed for yourself? And so that's hard for us, because a lot of us have been raised to impress you across the street, impress you around the block, impress you at the company, impress you at the church, impress you in the neighborhood. That's what a lot of us have been weight gain for ourselves. We don't know how to pursue saving $10 for our sales, or buying something that we want for ourselves. We don't know how to pursue that, right? Because we're amazed, like, man, now you're saying, I don't think I could have done all that. I don't think I could have walked from here to there just to go to school. I don't think I could have, saved all my money, ate peanut butter jelly sandwich for 3 years just to open up have a successful business. I don't think I could have drove the same car for like 8 years in a row and then, had this successful business. Now I live in this big house. See, you don't see that part. But when you read their stories, then you will see they had failure in the day, failure that night, failure the next day, and they had a lot of failure and they learned from it. And for 5 years, failures that they went through. Well, if you think that happens to people that you see and that you admire, that you are impressed with, what do you think has to happen to you if you want to succeed? A lot of years. And I can tell you, everything I succeeded in, I failed in it more than once. It's not a business I had that I succeeded in right when I had. I lost clients. I lost customers. I mean, bad products came out of some stuff because I failed at it first. And so I succeeded at it after a period of time. And the same thing is going to be required of you too. You're going to have to do the same things that I had to do, and anybody else that you want to succeed at anything. Again, you might have been married 3, 4, 5 times. I don't know. You might have been in 10, 15 different relationships and haven't gotten married yet. You're like, how come I can't get married? I was going through some things in my marriage. My businesses started to suffer. I lost some property. They came and they took my car out the garage, didn't tell me they were taking it. It's called repossessed. It wasn't no thieves, right? Things like that was happening to me, right? My bank accounts were going south. All this stuff was happening to me when I started understanding what failure was. And then I started improving upon those things, right? On the parts that I could control. Now, again, I know with relationships, you can't control everything, because if somebody want to be with you, they can. If they say they don't want to, okay, you just have to kind of move on and go to the next space, right? But you can control other stuff. You can learn how to do some other things better. You can learn how to do some things different. And if you do, then you can become more successful in the future. But if you don't, then you're going to be afraid to try. You're going to be afraid to go out on a date. You're going to be afraid to save some money. You're going to be afraid to invest some money. You're going to be afraid to buy your new house. You're going to be afraid to buy your new car. You're just going to be afraid of everything because you're afraid of failure. And now failure is fooling. And contact with me at fullerpurposemedia@gmail.com. Fullerpurposemedia@gmail.com. Again, it's Emmett Farmer. Are you 65 and older or know someone who is in need of Medicare assistance? Mr. Emmett Farmer is a licensed life and health insurance producer and an independent insurance broker. He can be reached at 773-908-9425 or efarmer2. That's the number 2, efarmer2 at ameritech.net. Again, Mr. Emmett Farmer specializes in Medicare plans for seniors 65 and older. Also, if you are disabled and have Medicare, he can assist you as well. He is licensed in the state of Illinois, Texas, and in the process of being licensed in other states and throughout the country. If you are 65 and older, or if you will become 65 within the next 6 to 12 months, you can contact again Mr. Emmett Farmer to learn more about your available options. Again, for more information, contact Mr. Emmett Farmer at 773-908-9425, 773-908-9425, or efarmer2, that's EFARMER, the number 2, efarmer2 at ameritech.net. You will also get a free consultation by mentioning that you heard about Mr. Emmett Farmer and his business here on the Greater You Show with the host, Dr. Anthony L. Gant, here on IntellectualRadio.com, an iHeart station, the station that feeds your brain. And he will help you out with that scenario and with those things. So let's kind of do a recap before we close it out here, that we have to realize that we have to get smart, and failure is an education. Failure is an event that happens that would give you an enormous amount of education if you're willing to learn from it. If you're not willing to learn from failure, then you won't actually learn how to succeed. Also, failure gives you the stamp of approval. It authorizes you or give you permission to have the success that you want, right? It authenticates you, right? It makes you an official success. You're birthing success when you go through failure. And how to get from failure, it's feedback for you. When you get failure, it's feedback, right? In other words, you are success starved. And when you get fed, and the only way you get fed success is by going through some failure. Again, I know it doesn't sound good, but you got to look at failure differently than you do if you want to succeed more than you have. And when you do so, you'll do a much better job at what you do. So to close out, like I always do, great people like you were born great. However, you need to keep working on yourself to become a greater you. And I'll see you next time.